It's alive!
And that's apparently how we're starting. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the show. The minions joining me this evening are Cryptic.
Hello.
Adam.
Hola.
Skep Tock.
Hello, everybody.
Sora Luna.
Hi.
Oh,
And of course, go ahead, Adam.
I was going to say, you guys are stinkers. You could have played along with the bit.
So each of us is supposed to say hello in a different language now. So rather than
I'm
saying,
sorry.
I'm your host, Sanguine. That's what you say now, Sanguine.
should I be saying ni hao or konnichiwa or some other foreign for hello? But yes, as it is Friday night, of course, I'm the keeper this evening, Sanguine. How are all of you doing tonight?
Well, according to you, we're cryptic.
Yes.
Yes.
What was the first thing he said?
Yes.
With me the minions I have with me tonight are cryptic.
Well, I'm still trying to...
We are in a way.
Yeah, and I'm still trying to figure out, if you almost hit a Romani, does that mean that you just start coming too early for everything?
Damn it.
Do
There's
a
topics that
poll
we
in
have
chat.
before the show, and then there's topics that we have on the show, okay? The before the show stuff has to be, fun and interesting so that people are like, I wonder what they're talking about before the show starts. Ooh. You don't want to shoot your load too early.
You trying to say we all
I want to ask the four of you, a question.
Yes.
Okay.
If I say Satie's gymnopedie, who knows without looking up what I'm talking about? Anybody at all?
No, sir.
No.
Okay.
I think I've heard it, but I can't for the life of me fucking place it.
Okay. Well, the gymnopedies, or trois gymnopedies, are three piano compositions written by the French composer Eric Satie, and he was also a piano picker. He was writing in the late
Those
19th century,
big
like
trees.
1880, 1890, and but they're haunting, strange, painful, and pretty simple. So a lot of beginning piano players get this plopped down in front of them. It was something that I was talking about with some other people, and it just dawned on me that there's a whole class of composers, of classical composers, that is consigned to anonymity. And there really were a lot of top-notch compositions done by lesser-known classical composers, and it makes me sad that they're being forgotten, basically. Anyway, I was just curious to see if I would get a hit on Eric Satie from any of you, and sadly, my worst fears were confirmed.
Well,
it's kind of like how...
Hold on. You remember him, right? He's not forgotten in your mind. And
Adam, I'm practically dead. You've seen me.
Yes, but now you've passed on the information.
You've seen the walking corpse that is me. I've tried to pass this on, but I try and get my grandkids to listen to this, and they're just like, Grampy.
Well, I mean, just talking with us, and then
they want to listen to that new music by Metallica and stuff. It's not even music; it's trash.
It's one of those.
They're a new group, Adam. Don't worry about it.
It's one of those things that there's a shit ton of songs that were extremely popular at various points in time that are almost entirely unheard of. Like, one really good example is Acheron.
Yeah.
Do you guys know what other than Skep, because I'm willing to bet Skep knows this without any trouble, do you know what song is sung to the tune of Acheron?
Well, it's kind of... Go ahead.
The Star Spangled... It's the national anthem. It's the Star Spangled Banner. It's sung to Acheron.
Right.
No one knows what the fuck Acheron is anymore.
Acheron's Call.
Yep. And it was a bar song, effectively. It was a
Right.
I think
It was a drinking
started
song.
as-
It was a drinking song, pure
Yeah.
and simple in the Northeast.
Yep. And
Yep.
it was
Absolutely
so
right.
popular that they went, hey, we're making this new song about our country. Fuck it. Let's throw it to the tune of Acheron. Everyone knows the tune of Acheron, so everyone will be able to pick up this
Well,
song.
now hang
really
on,
easy.
hold on, hang on, Sanguine. This all happened at a time when poetry was as hot as rap music is now. There was a time in the Western, the Europe and the Americas, when poetry had a vaunted social status. We laugh at it now, but back in the late 19th century, all the way to about halfway through the 20th century, poetry ruled. There were journals of poetry, large magazines with lots of circulation devoted to poetry, and so the idea initially was this was long before the Star Spangled Banner was composed. The idea originally was to have a national poem. And you have to pretty much go into the newspapers and stuff of the time. A lot of the stuff is, can be a little bit obscure, but there were calls from people saying that we needed a national poem, a poem that just absolutely distilled out what it was to be an American and to be free of British rule, which they were still very conscious of at the time, 1812, not having been that long ago back then. But anyway, how I do go on. Promised myself I wouldn't spew tonight, so
it's one of those
trying to be
things
good.
that, like I said, it is somewhat depressing because a lot of the tunes still linger on in other things, but the number of people that know what they're originally from is very few and far between when you're looking for people that actually have that information. And it just makes you think, how can something become that big, that well known, that it just gets morphed into hundreds of other things and be completely forgotten in the process?
But yeah, that was the I found it. It was called "To Anacrion in Heaven." That was the English speaking song, and it honored the great Greek poet Anacrion, who loved wine, as I did, and we drank together back in ancient Athens back in the day. But yeah, I've thought about that guy in a long time.
Yeah, it's really common, and there used to be a bunch of these different things. Some of them still hold on in small subcultures like rugby songs.
Yes.
Rugby songs are a thing unto themselves, and they're
like fraternity songs. They're just like fraternity songs.
Yep. And they're also oddly similar to a lot of old shanties, because just like old shanties, if you look at all the verses that you can have for "What Would You Do with a Drunken Sailor?"
Yes.
You're dealing with fucking thousands of verses.
It depends on what time, really.
Because what would happen is this
Clock somewhere, Adam.
This song would be sung and it would go around and people would just chime in with a verse that they would make up on the spot, or their pocket verse that they always keep.
That's like rap music. That's the origins of rap music. That was called it was called stoop singing or something like that back in New York, and it was the people who lived in those infinite rows of brownstones in Brooklyn, Queens, and the northern part of Manhattan, they started rap music. They had been doing it for decades, and just making up little pattern rhyme. And somebody figured out, hey, if I play some vaguely unrelated music in the background, I can sell this.
Mm-hmm.
And an industry took flight.
And we used to have
music,
just a massive tradition of songs like that would be, and another good example of a place that these sorts of songs are kept going, pubs. Especially if it's an Irish pub. Because
I would say that's probably more true in Britain, and I think it is true in Britain and Ireland and France, of all places, and Germany. Less true in Americas, and
well, it depends, because it
just depends where you go, I guess.
Really, two sorts of Irish pubs in America that I've been to. There's the Irish pub that is actually a fucking Irish pub, and it serves Irish food.
It seems like an actual Irish pub would have to be in Ireland. I don't know. I didn't do that well in geography, but
well, you get what I'm saying. That it serves Irish food. It has everything set for the pub atmosphere. It has the right sort of bar, the right sort of tables.
So you're talking about Bennigan's?
I'm not sure if I'm been to the one that you're referring to.
Bennigan's is a chain. It is the McDonald's, or actually Jack in the Box of Irish pubs.
I am most
it's
definitely
so bad.
not
It's so lame and
one,
so fake. You just
do you feel offended on their behalf for cultural appropriation? Is that how bad it is?
I certainly do. I certainly do, because they're awful and they could totally appropriate the Irish culture.
Yeah, I'm talking about places that they actually have the proper wood top bars that have that old age. Most of these places, they will have just a wall of patches from fire departments,
and pictures from old Irish newspapers.
And Guinness posters galore. Just, it is walking into a love letter to Irish pubs. That's one style of American Irish pub.
You guys want to hear something strange? When I was stationed in Okinawa.
Sure.
Do we get a vote?
No, you guys get a strange story, but
I was just talking up there.
You aren't getting enfranchised right now.
I know, yeah. right. So right outside my base, right, it's a grunt base. So we would go out to this area. It's on the left hand side. You walk out off the base on the main gate.
Mm-hmm.
It's a biker bar, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it has an Irish theme. So you had fresh Guinness, which is weird in Japan, and that's the first time I ever had Guinness in my whole life. And I really enjoyed the atmosphere and that stuff. It's a strange thing. It's a strange thing that like the military is the thing that got me into understanding about that stuff. So
it's also crazy to think that an Irish pub in Japan.
I know it was really weird.
A biker pub, right?
It was right. It was really weird.
Yeah. You want to hear one of the weirdest things? One of the best Irish pubs that I've been to anywhere outside of Ireland was in Shanghai.
Okay, explain.
O'Malley's Irish Pub Shanghai
Nice.
is this fantastic, proper Irish pub. And when I say proper Irish pub, they wanted it to have the right feel to the point that they flew out Irish musicians, Irish staff, and Irish chefs.
Wow.
And they
Irish
had
chefs. Let that soak in.
Yes, they had those people train up the local staff, and
Because Irish recipes are so goddamn complicated.
Mm-hmm.
they kept
Sorry.
a good chunk of them around. Like they still had a number of the cooks from when they did that. They still had a handful of the servers from when they did that, and they still had the band that they had brought in when I was there, which was the Public House Singers, and just everything was perfect. The food that they served was actually Irish food. They had the Public House Singers come in and do their thing every night. Every night you'd go in and there would be live Irish music. And that was what they had entirely built the place around, being as much of an Irish pub as they could be outside of Ireland. And it fucking worked. It was fantastic. Which brings me back to what I was saying about American pubs. You have the American Irish pub, which does very much the same. It has Irish music played either recordings or played live pretty much the entire time that you're there. It has the right sorts of food where it's actual pub grub, not... Well, we have burgers and hot dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And we have one Irish beer on tap. No, these places, they have the entire fucking thing done in spades. There's one near me that their main focus is that they're a whiskey pub, effectively.
Ooh.
And good God, I love that place. They have this absolutely absurd whiskey menu, and I mean to go there frequently and drink my way through their entire whiskey menu. It is amazing. They just call it the Whiskey Bible. So you have those, and then you have the other sort of Irish pub in America. And the other sort of Irish pub in America is a sports bar that occasionally has soccer.
Yeah, that's actually what Bennigan's builds itself as, is an Irish sports bar.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the archetype for what you're talking about.
And those I fucking hate.
Yeah, you wouldn't like Bennigan's.
Because the food is mediocre and it isn't Irish food. They just put Irish pub in the moniker
and serve you bar food. There's sports bar food.
Yep.
That's exactly what they do. That's exactly right.
Sports bar food.
So heated up or like frozen food that they just like defrost and serve to you.
Frozen Irish dinners, you know.
Yeah.
So
Heat and serve.
You'll have the frozen burger that they do at these sorts of places. You'll have a couple hot dogs. You'll have like a BLT and a Reuben on the menu. You'll have a handful of other sandwiches. Normally, you'll have a quesadilla on the menu.
Yeah.
And then it will be like
salad.
So
Yeah,
this
chef
basically
salad.
sounds like that one restaurant that you find in truck stops everywhere. Like, whenever, you don't care what it is. You just need safe food that's hopefully not going to get you sick while you drive for the next 6 hours.
safe should be in quotes.
Safe
Yeah.
being a relative term here.
You can chew it.
So when I was working, as a one of those like theme park employees, right?
Mm-hmm.
I worked at a one, so I got rotated around a bit. One of them was at a restaurant, and they made French dip, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything was frozen, of course, and you have to take the dip. You have to take the dripping to make the au jus, right?
Mm-hmm.
I swear to God, they charge you way too much for like shit that you just put in like an oven to get the dip out of, like the dripping out of.
Wait,
And I was like,
a premium for some beef juice.
yeah,
Ew.
beef juice. Yeah, basically that's all it is. And I've always like for now, like to this very day, I'm like every time I hear au jus, I'm like, I'll make this shit myself. I ain't paying for you, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I already unloaded my beef juice.
You know what? When I don't forget the tip your waitresses.
Though, from what we found out before the show, it arrives at the table before you even show up for your reservation.
Yeah.
It's a nice little surprise. And it's apparently thanks to my gypsy-induced third cone.
Yeah.
It's a winning story.
So, Sanguine, have you ever tasted Beamish Stout? Beamish Stout is the second most popular stout in Ireland after Guinness, and it is actually, I know it's the hipster stout. I've heard people call it that, but I like it better.
What's a
or at least I
Beamish?
did when I was drinking.
I'm quickly pulling. Yes, I did have a Beamish. I was trying to remember if I had, and I knew that if I had seen the
There's a strong
logo,
coffee flavor that if you think that Guinness Stout has a lot of coffee flavor to it, you should try a Beamish if you like that, because it's very coffee flavored.
Yeah, that's the one that's more coffee, and if you compare the two side by side, you get more coffee from that one and more chocolate from Guinness.
Yeah, Guinness tastes sweeter to my palate also.
Wait, you would think Guinness tastes sweeter than this Beamish?
Oh yeah.
Beamish is
Beamish
more-
has a little more alcohol in it too.
and it's
I think
a
it's 4.1 to 4.0.
bit more bitter as well.
Well, I mean, I like drinking a good Guinness. Just I kind of like the taste, but it's one of those. It's like I feel like I'm pushing the limits on the on that. I guess coffee taste is that what the Guinness taste is?
Yeah.
No,
Well,
coffee taste?
Guinness has a coffee taste to it, but Beamish is much more of a coffee taste.
Is it?
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Guinness-
if Guinness is giving you all you can stand in the coffee department, you won't
So
like
Beamish.
Beamish.
The way that
really.
Beamish.
Although, one that you might like, what was the name of that stuff? Murphy's Irish Stout
Yep, that's another.
is considerably lighter. They call it medium bodied, but it's lighter. It's a lighter stout.
And
well, I mean, it's not that I it's hitting the limit. It's just for in terms of bitterness, it's like that's good, but I wouldn't journey any further.
And if
But
you're-
I do like the taste.
if
but
you're
I'll try
going
the
a bit
Murphy's.
too towards the bitter end, another sort to look for are the Irish cream stouts, which
Oh,
there's a
you
bunch of
like
different
O'Hara's? Yeah.
manufacturers. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
Black Rock.
O'Hara's. There's a couple US based breweries that are now doing cream stouts as well, like
Quote
Southern.
stout, end quote.
Oh, Southern Tier actually has a good Irish cream stout. It's one of their seasonal ones, but it's a good Irish cream stout. But yeah,
There you
it's-
go.
There's
Anyway,
bunch of different
stout
sorts.
is one of the few things. If I could continue to drink alcoholic beverages, or if I could have alcoholic beverages without the alcohol, stout is one of the few things that I would enjoy drinking. That and a big hearty red omido, with so much tannin in it, it just makes your tongue into sandpaper. I really like that with red meat. Those are the tastes that I miss, and also Auslese wine from Germany. I miss the Uber Auslese.
For me, I like my beers dark for the most part. I've talked about it before. Asian beers confuse the fuck out of me because they look like they should be piss water, but they aren't. they're actually tasty.
Some of them are. You ever had any San Pablo from
Philippines? Yeah, I have them. Yeah.
I haven't had that.
If
one
it's
yet.
made in if it was made in the Philippines when I was in the Navy, which was 1975, it was made. It had significant amounts of formaldehyde in it.
Mm-hmm.
Significant amounts of
Holy
formaldehyde and methyl alcohol in it, and we still not only drank that. That was the beer that they gave us. If you spent a month out at sea, this is your Navy.
Wow.
If you spent more than a month out at sea, you got a beer ration at sea. Shit you not. You got to have 2 beers, 2 12-ounce beers for your month at sea because you hadn't gone into port. So that was the Navy's way of saying, hey, let's give the fellas a little treat. They've been out working 20-hour days for a month. Let's let them have 2 beers. And it was always San Pablo with the formaldehyde because it was always from the Philippines.
So, Skep, when I was in the Philippines, when I was deployed there, the beer choice who I was there was San Miguel. It's very similar.
San Miguel. You know, what did I just say? What name of the beer was I talking about? I thought
No, this is a different beer. This beer.
This San Miguel was the one I thought I was talking about. I just realized I completely had a senior moment.
Are you sure it was San Miguel?
Yeah, I'm absolutely sure. As soon as you said it was San Miguel, I realized that I hadn't been saying the right name. I can't believe I've forgotten something in my life.
Oh, it happens all the time. Like when I was there, when I was stationed there, we just deployed and we went to we had like a 2-week layover basically, right?
Yeah.
So before I had to get on the boat to go back to Okinawa, I was in Clark Air Force Base.
Yep.
So I was there, and they had a little shop on base, and we ordered a case of San Miguel every 2 days because we were stupid Marines. So we drank that shit every fucking day, and
what year was this?
It was in 2000 and
roughly
7-ish.
Okay, so that's long after. Yeah, they improved their beer. Partly, I think, as a result of the complaints. I don't have evidence to that, but I know that they did an overhaul on their beer making process, and I think the government threatened them if they didn't start making better beer, we'd stop buying it. And, But San Miguel is actually it's a boring beer, but it's safe to drink now. It was, in my opinion, not safe to drink when we were procuring it from the PI.
Yeah.
I know that there are bad Asian beers, but I'm still gobsmacked how beers that light.
Good.
Yeah, Tsingtao is amazing. Then there's snow beer, which have you ever had snow beer?
No.
It's another Chinese beer that is not as widely available as Tsingtao, but it is still one of the more popular beers within China. And I actually preferred snow beer to Tsingtao. Then, of course, there's Asahi, Sapporo, Kirin Ichiban.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all amazing. So I'm just gobsmacked how they can be that fucking light. Because if I see an American beer and it's that light, I know it's going to be this.
Yeah. So here's the thing about me and Asian beer, right? Every fucking Asian countries, right? If it's any kind of beer, they put it on ice. They would put ice in the glass and then pour it over. And by the time you finish drinking, you drink half the goddamn glass with ice in there, right? It's melted. It's diluted, right? That's weird to me, even though I'm supposed to understand the culture. I don't. Like my brother does. He drinks beer with ice in it. I'm like, y'all a bunch of weirdos.
That is
Yeah,
very odd.
that's-
I have never tried that before.
Beer,
Yeah.
ice.
Yeah, you basically just get like room temperature beer, right? You take a glass and just put ice in it, and you pour beer in it, and you drink it that way.
I mean, unless you like drink it really quick. Yeah, you're right. And you just dilute it eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's
That's-
also weird is hot beer. So there's the opposite end.
Also, there's. I know Skep and Cryptic are probably familiar with this. I know Cryptic definitely has to be because he was there at a time that I know they were doing this. The Japanese beer glasses, the ones that are just like maybe 3 inches tall,
Oh yeah.
it
Mhm.
for some reason Japanese beer glasses are like 3 inches tall. They aren't even as tall as my hand is wide. And you just fill it up. They'll give you a big bottle of beer. It'll be bare minimum like 22 ounces, and a shit ton of them. They'll give you larger than 22-ounce bottles.
Mhm.
But then you'll have this 3-inch tall glass. So it's just you pouring a bit, drinking some, pouring a bit, drinking some.
It's like pouring a shot. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you're
remember that.
effectively doing shots of beer.
You can
Dude,
drink directly
I have a-
from the can. I've done that.
I have a ruler right next to me because
Yep.
as you do, and
I have a measuring tape near me as well.
oh,
I have a president and a king, but I don't consider them rulers.
what? Well, I didn't vote for him.
And Sora, was the measuring tape a business expense?
Well, this one, yes, because it's pink. I have another one that is
okay.
not.
What? So depending on the color, it's a business expense.
Yeah, it's an easier way to do your taxes.
Oh, color coded. Yeah, right.
Mhm.
But yeah, 3-inch glass, dude. That's small as shit. And I'm assuming that the bottom is nice and thick, so you're not really getting a full 3 inches.
But
It's a subway.
Yeah.
I bet that's
Subway
not
dog.
the first time you ever said that, is it?
What? Wow. Hey, come on.
it's
I think we've already established. I think we've already stabbed a dagger in me with the the premature. I don't think we need to do another.
Isn't it enough that he's just premature? Premature. He doesn't have to also be really short.
But it's
Listen,
really
some
thick
guys
at the
have
end.
zero
Come
luck.
on.
Premature emasculation.
Oh man.
See, I'm just surprised that he didn't come back with. Well, it would be a bit extreme if it was more than 3 inches thick. But no, he just went for the short. He ran with it.
No, I was responding
Short
to.
but not girthy. Oh.
I was responding to Skep Tock. So,
Not even a fire plug.
I don't know what to say.
this joke has been stretched out. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
oh,
Yeah.
God,
Yeah, it's getting into Spurg City.
I'm getting chafed.
But yeah, the tiny little beer glasses.
But I like the idea of it. It's because it's like, okay, so you drink it, it encourages you to just hang around longer, you
Yeah.
know?
That's the pull. That's the draw that I tell the ladies.
It must be fun inside that brain, Adam.
Oh, this
Is that just to deal with the refractory period?
Look. It takes a lot of work. Okay.
No, it doesn't. We already covered this before the show.
I didn't say time. I said work. All right, I gotta mute. I can't. I'm gonna pause. Okay.
But yeah, it's just one of those things that it's kind of interesting, but you're still going like, man, can't I have an Imperial pint glass or something? I can't even fit all my fingers on this glass. What the fuck?
That's when you tip up your pinky finger, you know.
Effectively, when I'm drinking that, I grab it with my ring finger, my middle finger, and my thumb, and I go from there. But yeah, it's one of those things. And like I said, for the most part, I drink dark beers, barley wines, stouts. I'll occasionally do like red ales and stuff like that. Sour and wild ales are really good as well. But I don't know what witchcraft Asian nations have done to make a light beer that actually tastes good. It's just, I think they do an insane amount of blonde malt in their beers.
Oh, they just put dark people in there.
That would make the beer dark then.
How do you know? See, you can take the flavor without the skin, the melanin.
So they do the washing machine from that one Japanese commercial, and then they put them in?
Well,
they use that water.
To be fair, that's a Korean commercial, so yeah, I'm just saying that
Oh,
the
it's a
Koreans
Korean
do it better.
commercial? Okay.
Yeah, the Korean do it better. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, it's I don't know. I don't drink Asian beer except for Sapporo. So, and
Come
funny
on,
thing
you
is,
don't
It's made
down in
here.
Asahi from time to time?
I
A
do
lot of
Asahi.
these Asian beers are brewed in North America.
No. I've had like real Japanese beer, especially during the Penis Festival.
As
It's
you
a
do.
That was a
It's a
special trip for you, wasn't it?
You went specially.
I had it every year for 3 years, but whatever. I had to wear a penis hat, but
He
was
wasn't
good.
stationed during any of those 3 years. It was just a
It was part of my imagination. Yeah,
yearly pilgrimage.
but what's called I like Asian beer, but not the Americanized one. You know what I mean? It's kind of the same thing with like Heineken. Heineken tastes like fucking piss water.
Yeah, Heineken is very overrated Dutch beer. I think it's Dutch. It's overrated. If you want a good Dutch beer, try Grolsch.
Ooh.
Get the big bottle. You'll want it.
That's the one the Inquisitor swears by, isn't it, Adam?
I love that beer. Man,
What's
that's
that?
awesome. Grolsch.
Grolsch.
Is
That
that
was
the
the
one
one
that
that-
Grolsteiner?
Yeah, I think so. I think
Yeah, I think that's the one that he got when we did the 4th of July celebration.
Grolsch is amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
It just tastes like the best beer you ever had in your whole life.
You want to?
And I was
assuming
not a big
everything
fan of
opens up-
beer.
Assuming everything opens up tomorrow, hopefully I'll be able to see him. We're supposed to play some games.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
You want to hear something funny, Skep? My brother-in-law came to the United States 2 years ago, right?
Uh-huh.
And we wanted to have a beer, couple of beer together because we're brother-in-laws. We gave him like Heineken, right? He's like, "Oh shit, this is like," he's like, "This is the gourmet of beer in Vietnam." I'm like, we all have bad taste in Vietnam.
Yeah.
What is wrong with Vietnamese people?
I know. I was like, "What the hell is wrong with y'all?" I'm like, I grew up here, so I'm gonna stick with my beer here in the United States. So,
What's your
stick
favorite?
with your
What's your
history.
favorite beer, Cryptic?
my favorite beer is actually a local microbrewery called Stop Dog.
Okay, so the microbrew. But what
Yeah.
what generally available stuff? The mass market stuff. What do you like?
Oh, shit.
You haven't had
What-
any in so long you forgot about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about that. It's the what you call no, not even that. I don't like. The Breckenridge brew beers are pretty good.
Breckenridge,
Yeah,
like Breckenridge, Colorado.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I meant a little bit more widely. I've had many beers in Breckenridge, Colorado.
No, there is a.
It's a brand name. Yeah,
It's a
BR.
brand. Yeah, there is a brand. It's Breckenridge beer, actually.
Yeah.
Yep.
But is that widely marketed? Is that
Yeah, it
on
is.
the order of Michelob and well, nothing's on the order of Budweiser, but
Well, if you're going for
yeah, I'm talking about
available
mass marketed.
throughout the
Hold on, yeah.
US.
see, I was gonna say like the go-to brew that you
Well,
it's-
randomly go to.
It's a Breckenridge brewery beer, so it's basically like the brand is Breckenridge, but it's actually very very common in all United States because it's like the Avalanche. It's okay. I'll pick the Avalanche. It's because it's actually quite a good beer.
available in 35 states
Mm-hmm.
out of 50. They evidently have really, yeah, they are now fully owned by Anheuser-Busch.
Yes, they got bought. They got bought out. Yes.
2015. So interesting stuff. Yeah. And they got a new brewery out of it. So I guess that was a deal.
Yes. I like the Avalanche. The Avalanche is very common. So, and it's my favorite hockey team. So, yeah, there you go.
All right. Very good.
Because
Go ahead.
no, I said because it's Colorado Avalanche. So there you go.
There you go. The Avs. I remember it from living in Denver.
Yes.
They are crazy hockey fans up there.
Yeah,
I love hockey. I always enjoyed it.
Yo, I love hockey too. Like the Avalanche right this year is very very good, but like being the whole existence, right? The first time I ever fell in love with the Avalanche was like 1996, right? 95, 96 they came here, right? I was in the basement of my basically government housing, right?
Yeah.
Stanley Cup final, Colorado Avalanche versus the Florida Panthers. I stayed up to fucking 11 o'clock in the morning. And I saw them win the fucking Stanley Cup. I was like, yes. I had no idea what was going on. I was like the very moment from that moment on, I started like researching hockey and all that stuff. And like actually understanding the hockey, blue line, forechecking, which kind of face off, all
Have you ever played?
line change.
Have you ever played?
I didn't.
It's an amazingly it has an amazing amount of skill to it.
Yes, I understand. But
people think it's a boxing match, but that doesn't account for most of what's going on. It is violent. In fact, when I played on a team, the big open ice hit was like my best weapon. I was on defense course. I wouldn't skate well enough to be a winger. And but people spend their years that they develop as players, and particularly in the this amazing, it's really the minor league of hockey as far as I'm concerned, the juniors in Canada.
Oh, the CHL?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, the juniors, the kids coming up. Those most of those kids in high school, a teammate of those kids in high school will beat probably 50 to 75% of the teams that NC2A schools Division I are fielding in hockey. They'll be beaten by Canadian juniors. A bunch of Canadian juniors come in and just take them out. Those are still the best players in the world, in my opinion.
I agree with that, but to be fair, that the NC NCAA actually teams are actually getting better depending on the region, right? If you go to like a DU, like a Denver University,
that's an exception. Those guys are awesome, but
yes, but
that's different. I'm talking about LSU.
okay, nobody cares about LSU when it comes to
They
like
will
hockey.
they'll beat them 19-0. They
Yep.
seriously will, and they're just that much better. They're playing that. Yeah, you're right. There are individual states, University of Minnesota, Wisconsin.
Yes, with Minnesota's. Yep.
Minnesota's amazing, and but by and large, those guys are. I don't know what Canadians do to make them so good so fast, but it's stunning. I remember back in college, I wasn't good enough to be on an NC2A team, but I was a member of the hockey club, by God, and I got out there and skated and played kind of played the best game that I could.
Sure.
But the guys who were really good would play exhibition matches against NC2A teams. They played a match against some Canadian. These were juniors. These were not even the regular juniors. These were kids who were in junior high school and beginning high school. They came down and beat Northwestern's hockey club hockey team. Like it would have been 50 or 60-0 if they had let that go the full thing. They just played an exhibition. They were amazing. They were so much better. They really were. It's an art the way they practice it.
Yeah, but that's the difference between like the way their system and our system work, right? In Canadian hockey, right?
Mhm.
At the age of like about 14, 15, 16-ish, right? They get drafted into the like the junior leagues, right?
Yep.
From there, the education, their high school, high school education, middle school education, whatever it is, right, is paid for the league. So they deal with that way. But 99% of their times is spent on training, right? Playing hockey, just playing straight up hockey. So they have a culture of doing that, and it continues on to the Quebec, like the Quebec junior leagues, right? And then it continues into the CHL afterwards. They get drafted for each level. They get drafted from preteen, like a teen, preteen to teens, and then the juniors, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how they get their players so good, is because they have a system where they graduate their players from one league to another. We don't have that in the United States. We don't. We just have a typical middle school, high school, and then college team type of deal, right? So it's a different story. To be fair to the American college system, if you land on the right school like Boston College, North Dakota, Minnesota, DU, right? Type of school, you will get trained just as well or as better than the Quebec major. What's it? What they called? That
system of training. Yeah,
that system of training, and then or the CHL, where the Western Canada has their version. All that also.
It's an interesting thing. Edmonton has has 1/3 of the population of Toronto, yet it has exactly the same number of players in the NHL as Toronto does.
Yeah,
but I'd say Edmonton seems to be doing something right. 3 times as many as you would expect to have represented. That's they're doing something different. Wouldn't you say there's a standard deviation at least?
Yeah.
If you could compute it, computing it would be hard. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they have a good focus on what the kids needs. It's like Like, look, you're not the smartest kid in the world, but you're skilled. We'll get you through, your basic schools, but we'll focus you to keep your skills going so that you can earn a good living, a multi-million-dollar living. Once you get there, and even guys that never make the NHL, they make a good living in the AHL, right?
Yeah.
Or the
For sure.
Yeah,
Interesting thing, Montreal and Winnipeg have the same number of active NHL players. Winnipeg's not as big as Montreal, I've heard.
No, by no means.
In fact, Winnipeg is mostly tundra, from what I can tell.
Yep.
It may not even exist. Sora, does Winnipeg exist?
I hear it's a myth
Yeah, that's what
that
I
we're not allowed to say. We don't talk about that place.
Yeah.
It's like Saskatchewan, right?
I don't want to get
Yeah.
my citizenship revoked.
Some
Sorry.
places are hits and some are myths.
Yeah, it's like Saskatchewan, right? Like,
Yeah.
Do
Nobody
people really live
believes in
there?
that. No,
Yeah.
people that live there. Saskatchewan, you believe in Bigfoot too, right?
Yeah, it's like it has a place with a city name that has name Regina. Come on,
Yeah.
Well-
that's an obvious joke.
yeah.
It's an obvious troll. It's a geographic
you-
troll.
Are you really telling me that it's just a bit of happenstance that Saskatchewan and Sasquatch kind of sound the same?
Well, I mean, it is a flat place with like no real thick forests, so it's a little bit. I think it's a misdirection.
Sounds like Ellen DeGeneres.
See, that's what I'm saying. It is all misdirection. Why are we having so much trouble finding Bigfoot in the woods? Well, it's because Bigfoot no longer lives in the woods. Bigfoot has been moved and settled in
Bigfoot is a
Saskatchewan.
farmer.
Sorry, can you
Yes.
explain the city named Regina?
Well, yes, we have a queen.
No, Regina.
Yes, means queen.
In Latin, it does mean queen.
I know, but Regina.
I know
It
what
sounds
you're
like
trying
vagina.
to insinuate,
sounds
and
like
it's
vagina.
queen.
Vagina is a Latin word too.
You're gonna have to take that up with the Latins.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah. Well, the tanks.
Please
the tanks
address
were
your
calling them.
complaint to the Governor General.
I don't
Although I
know.
don't
The
think they're
Canadian
listening
government
anymore right now.
doesn't seem very receptive to
Yeah.
listening to complaints at the moment.
Yeah, I don't want to go to jail or accused of treason by.
By a
Hey,
foreign country.
Yeah.
What is the deal with Justine Castro? What in the world does that idiot think he's doing?
What he's
He's
trying
not.
to do, what he's trying to do is just stay in power as long as he can until he gets booted. And his calculation is that he can suppress those that are trying to get him out of power. That's literally how every dictator wants to do.
Well, I think it's more just he's had a magic bullet for any problem that comes up. Accuse them of racism, accuse them of sexism, accuse them of being fascist, and the problem disappears. He doesn't know what to do when he calls someone a racist, sexist, fascist, and the response is, "You're talking shit." What do you
Well,
mean?
he says, "What are the dirty tricks I can do to you to make you agree with me and do what I want you to do? I'll come and kill your dog." Let me tell you something. If one animal is euthanized by this asshole, that's going to be the most famous dog ever. It will knock Dumbo off of, the top rung, and that people everywhere will take up that symbol, and they will be after his scalp.
So Skep, I was told this. I haven't looked into that yet, but I will. Somebody did die today.
Someone died today.
Yeah, they got trampled.
Yeah, disabled woman. Because they basically was forcing everybody to fucking. Well, they were arresting everybody, and this person got trampled, and she died in a hospital today.
She was 80 years old, killed at a crosswalk. Mayor admits city has a long way to go.
Yes.
Um,
That's why I said I heard about it. I haven't researched it. I didn't look into it yet, but she was an old lady. She was disabled, so
They tried to pin it as someone threw a bicycle at a horse to try and startle it. And when
they'll usually do the trick.
Well, when you look at the picture, it's her next to her walker, her electric walker, on the ground. It's it's honestly a hard video to watch.
I have I didn't I was told that, and I didn't watch it. So if I want to talk about this, I will have to watch it. But
You know, I honestly I think it's weird because it's something that I would have expected elsewhere. I would never have expected it in Canada. And I think that's the thing that kind of hits harder. Like, son of a fuck. Hey, hold on. You know what, Quippers? You're not supposed to use my toaster, sir. That's a personal toaster.
I am still just absolutely fucking incensed by the fact that the people that are advocating that, well, the police just need to go in there and crack some heads and get this all under control. This is fucking ridiculous. How can you allow people to be just blocking city streets and doing this? They're trying to overturn the government. Those people, those fucks that are panicking about it, are the same ones that spent all last summer saying that there's nothing wrong. Those are just people trying to be heard. Yeah, some property got damaged. Boo-hoo. Yeah, some people died. They're trying to be heard. Put yourselves in their shoes. They've had a hard life. Fuck you if you're doing that. Because if you can't realize that the people that they called the riots around George Floyd a summer of peace and love, while things were burning and people were being murdered. The event where they have literal fucking bouncy houses in corners and on the street because they've blocked off everything during their protest. People haven't been attacked by the protesters. They're feeding people. They're allowing kids to play in bounce houses. That is actually just like a straight up summer festival in the fucking middle of winter. And you're calling that a violent protest, a violent revolution, when, again, people were being beaten to death, shot, stabbed, mugged, buildings were being burnt down. That was a summer of peace and love. Go fuck yourself. Also, the absolute hilarity of them trying to say, well, the truckers tried to burn down an apartment building, and then you see the photos of the people that burnt down, or that were trying to burn down their apartment building. You see the video of the one guy saying that he's part of the trucker protest, and it's this lime green haired little twink that can't say that he's part of the trucker protest without it sounding like he's half snake midway through protest. He's not part of the truckers. That's fucking obvious. That dude is not a trucker. Why the
Probably
fuck are
could
you
not
trying to...
open a truck door without assistance.
Yeah.
By the
But-
way, Cryptic, what happened this morning was at 11:44, a pedestrian was struck. She was an 80-year-old woman.
Okay.
She was struck by a woman driving a Honda who was also an 80-year-old woman.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I know. It's 160 years of oh shit going on right there. And yeah, she ran her down and she was trapped under the car and succumbed to the injuries and blah, blah, blah. You know, but yeah, it was an 80-year-old woman accidentally killing another 80-year-old woman.
Yeah, that's why when I said I was told that, I was like,
that out there before anybody, you know, got excited about that.
Mhm.
That's all that it was, just a traffic accident.
Sure,
There was
yeah.
also the other thing that came out recently with respect to new evidence. I'm putting air quotes around new evidence of one of the people that died during the January 6th incident. I think is a way that you can say that without getting in trouble. And it was the video of a policewoman beating a person to death.
Oh yeah.
no,
And you even hear the other police officers telling her to, you know, like, hey, back off.
That's enough. Stop, and just keeps wailing.
that's why when I heard about the lady getting killed, right? I was like, let me look into it. I haven't looked into it yet, so you told me what you told me. I'm like, okay, let me look into it. I haven't yet. So when Skep told me, I was like, okay.
Mhm.
It's a different one from what I heard. So I'm not gonna judge it based off that. I'm just judging based off of what
Just
I
look it
read.
up. Yeah, it's easy.
Yep.
Easy peasy.
Yeah,
But
it's-
going up to the 10,000 foot level in Canada right now,
Mhm.
I really feel like that country is separating into at least two parts, and it really is Ontario and I guess part of Quebec versus everybody else, except maybe
It's
parts of
always
Vancouver.
really, it's always been like that though.
Yeah,
That's not
I
new.
I agree that culturally that certainly and politically it's been that way for a long time, but they are so polarized. They're so far in their corners. They're so far away from each other that it's weird to see Canadians, the most agreeable people on earth, and I really do believe that. I actually think that's a cultural norm for them, and I think it's a great one. To see them this far apart and at such loggerheads, it's very worrisome. That's the sort of thing that really chills me, is when I see a country getting this badly divided to where whole swaths of the country will not even speak to the other side. They can't discuss their differences. They want to kill each other. And that has not always been that way in Canada. Canada was the place where, if you lost an election, you slapped the other guy on the back, said, well done, let's go have a drink. And you really got that vibe from Canadian politicians that they really tried to work together for the benefit of the country, even when they had different opinions. But that's gone now.
That went away after Trudeau's first election.
Really?
I think so.
Yeah, I wasn't paying close enough attention to know when it happened, but I just
the election up to the run up to his election was, I think, the end. That we just didn't know it yet.
What will it take to get Trudeau out of there? Legally. I've thought of other ways, but legally.
A vote of no confidence.
I know technically how it happens. What would cause that to happen? And I know the technical aspect of that too. You know,
think,
failing on a
the
finance
government.
bill and all that stuff. But
No, I think also, unless it's the law is no longer in place, the Governor General on order of the Queen can remove him, but that's only ever happened once in the whole history of Canada, and I
Yeah.
don't think that can happen again. Honestly, don't know.
yeah, I don't.
I don't know enough.
Just the aggravating thing about having a weak executive, and I mean, you know, PM is basically he's just the senior representative. Yes, he, you know, leads the country and the party, but his leadership is very, very much a function of his popularity in his party.
I mean, it's not just the people that are, you know, telling him to knock it off. I've seen videos of people in, I guess, their parliament that have been telling him, like, look, this is dictatorship at this point. You know, you need to not, you need to stop. You don't have the authority to do this. I think there was it Saskatchewan? Said they were looking at the legal aspect of it, and they were saying that he didn't have the authority to do this, and so he has to stop it. You know, and
Who will stop him?
Well, yeah, but I mean, right now at this point, we're looking solely at the trucker area, so Ontario, right, or Ottawa. Wait, no, what the fuck? Wow, Adam.
Ontario is the province. Ottawa is the city where they are.
It's a broader question, though. Really, what will stop Trudeau from acting like Augusto Pinochet?
Well, Pinochet was able to be ousted with a vote.
Okay. Sanguine. When I use analogies,
I get that, but I'm just saying it's one of my pet
I'm not
peeves.
really looking for assistance in analyzing the foundation of my analogy, just the operative point. So, okay, you don't like that? Let's try Mao.
Okay.
Mao better?
Yeah, Mao works. Or he could go for his father and go with Castro.
Ooh.
Castro was
The
not
D.
Mao's father.
No, not Mao's.
Castro was Trudeau's father.
Yeah, he was Trudeau's father.
Yeah. Get your genealogy straight.
It would require a bit of a time machine for him to be Mao's father.
At this point.
That'd be an interesting.
Look,
Hollywood, how are you not able to come up with stories? We just came up with a fantastic story right here. Fucking
Cowards, all of them.
yeah.
They won't tell the real stories.
Build a time machine, and Castor goes back in time, and Sears.
People haven't made the joke like Mao Zedong. Come on, his last name is fucking Dong. But anyway,
Dong. He was a ding dong.
So the rules of the Confidence Convention are not written. They're a tradition. It's not law. I did not know this.
Wait, of the what?
So a vote of no confidence can be brought up in the House of Commons at any moment. It's usually when a bill is struck down. It's usually a moment when people will bring it up. But it is tradition. It's not something that necessarily goes through.
It's not. It's not in the Constitution.
Right.
It's not written down. It's just a matter of convention.
So what could happen is it could be that they initiate the vote. They all vote that, yeah, we have no confidence in him. And his response is, man, fuck you guys. I'm staying.
Well, he has, I mean, they all, you know, at that point, everything is votes, and then it's all based upon that vote. And I don't know if the one person who calls for the vote will be looking, you know, behind their shoulder for the rest of their life.
Mm-hmm. And also, yes, was a reason why I used that particular accent when I was saying Trudeau would do that, because naturally he would give that address while wearing blackface. So it's how he feels most comfortable. It only makes sense.
Well, no, he's Fidel Castro's son. So
Well,
he
from
he
what
might-
also I understand, though, he's partnered up with the NDP party, so the Liberals and the NDP are buddies right now, which
Okay,
gives them a
is the
majority.
NDP? Are they? They're they're basically liberals, aren't they?
then the people more
Mm,
far left. They're like the Green
That's
Party.
that's what I mean. Yeah, they're like
Yeah.
Greens. They're like crazy left, right?
Yeah, they're the Green Party. The NDP in Canada, is the Green Party.
Okay.
So
I don't know my Canadian parties as well as I should.
they're more on the socialist with the bad connotation part.
yeah,
They're the redistribute the wealth ish as long as we get to hold the money kind of people.
Yeah.
In
The
my
lit-
opinion.
Well, they're literally the Green Party, most European country. They see themselves as environmentalists, blah 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 blah. You know the whole shebang, right? So they will support Trudeau.
People can't destroy the earth if we just kill off all the people.
That's a good point.
There is a school of thought that backs that. The ones who want to end with this generation, just stop having kids.
You mean the Georgia Stones?
The what?
Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind.
The Georgia
I'm sorry.
Stones?
Hold on.
They-
I'm sorry. I forgot I had my tinfoil hat on. I'll take it off before we dive too deep into the Georgia Stones. But
Are you talking about the Guidestones in Georgia?
yeah, those that weird structure.
Yeah.
Can we just blame Canada? Fucking Canada.
No, we got
Blame
Take
Canada.
ownership of your own problems, Cryptic. God damn.
Oh, gee, ooh, wow.
Whoa!
I
We've got
know,
enough on our
that-
plate.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Oh my God! She just killed me.
Sora's got the claws out, dude.
I know.
I'm surprised
Meow.
Cryptic wasn't fast enough to turn that into a racist thing from Sora.
Whoa! Wait.
I was actually
Whoa.
stationed near the Georgia Guidestones, Adam.
Wait, what?
I was stationed near the Georgia Guidestones, the stone monument.
So you got to see them?
Well, sort of.
Do you want to talk about it here? or do
No,
you-
it's all right.
Yeah, we should probably we'll save this.
Take
for
it
different-
offline.
Yeah,
Take it offline.
because that's a rabbit hole. We don't
Yeah,
want.
it is for a fact. But
Yes.
yeah, that's out by Athens, Georgia. Not very far from Athens, Georgia at all.
So about these cat claws.
Meow.
Whoa!
No. Sora has
Cryptic,
wounded me.
did you sell Adam your leftovers?
Yes, I did. It hurt my soul. Sora is trying to kill me right now. So
Wait,
you know
what leftovers?
Don't worry about it.
Well, you got the cat claws, so where's the rest of the cat?
Oh my god. Sanguine.
Wah, wah.
I'm sad that only Cryptic and
No, I remember, but I was trying not to bring that up. Again, that was pre-show stuff.
No, Cryptic eating cat is just a constant.
Oh well,
And that was not a euphemism unless you wanted to be.
Y'all want to hear something funny?
That would require Cryptic to be successful first.
Oh, harsh.
we hold nothing back on the Friday episodes. Oh, shit.
I'm gonna cry in my cereal bowl. I don't eat cereal, but whatever.
Oh, don't cry.
No, I don't cry. I
There,
get
there.
eaten.
I only use a cereal bowl when I'm getting my hair cut.
That's fair. I've had a couple of bowl cuts in my life, so it's good.
Yeah, good stuff.
It's like, hey, you gonna go formation tomorrow? I'm like, okay. You need a haircut? Oh fuck. Hey, which one of y'all can cut a hair? It's like none. All right, let's just go for it. Next thing you know, I have this fucking bowl cut. And I'm like, I'm gonna fix it later.
Did later ever come?
Nope.
Yeah, it does actually. Yeah, it comes like literally like an hour after I get off formation.
Suddenly you're looking like you're a member of an Asian tribute band to the monkeys.
Yes.
You know,
Hey, no, like, hey, we're the Asians.
The best
people
cover
say
band
we're
ever.
Asian around. We're too busy Asian, bring anybody down. Just trying to be Asian. There's other verses.
There's other versions, but we don't remember any of it until we write them down. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you know Mao Zedong killed 45 million people?
Oh, the estimate is a lot more than that.
Yeah, it's actually about 60. But
that's the low end.
The
Yeah.
Google, the Chinese owned Google says that it's 45 million, and one of these results actually says 40 million.
Hey, so can we stop talking bad about China?
About mass murder.
Well, only because you're making me feel bad because I had Chinese food for dinner, and
Yeah,
Oh no, the food's delicious.
Was it
And at
real
least you're able
Chinese?
to eat it, unlike
Well,
the Chinese
Adam.
were during the Great
I'm
Leap
fucking
Forward.
goofing with you. I don't give a shit. I
No,
know what you're talking about.
But Adam,
And I had orange chicken, and that's not Chinese food. So
yeah. Most people don't realize that,
Of course, they were yellow, not orange. That'd be
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Go ahead,
Most people-
Cryptic. What were you going to say?
most people don't realize the modern like Chinese food in the restaurants we eat in America, right? They were invented during the era where they were brought here to build the railroads. So they're actually American invented Chinese food.
yeah, Americanized Chinese food.
Right. But it's an American food, like General Tso's chicken, fucking beef and broccoli, all that stuff is actually American.
Even
American
like,
dish.
but that's the beauty part about America.
Mhm.
Okay, is because other cultures will come here and they'll make their food, and then suddenly it becomes, bam, Americanized, like spaghetti or fucking pizza, or fucking like or tacos or fucking quesadillas. Like there's a whole smorgasbord of food dishes that are out there that you can have the traditional or the American.
And normally, step one is double the meat content.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. If you look at General Tso's chicken, and I probably mispronounced that, you have General Tso's chicken may be named after a 19th century Hunanese general, but he certainly never ate anything resembling that. The dish, as most Americans know it, was actually invented by a guy named Peng Chang Kui, a chef from the Hunan province, and he was well known and talented. He orchestrated and supervised the grand banquets of the Chinese nationalist government from the end of World War II until they were toppled by Mao Zedong's communists in 1949. And he fled the country, found refuge in Taiwan, and Taiwan became a haven for classical Chinese cuisine. Peng opened up a restaurant in Taipei and served food for years that was inspired by traditional Hunanese cooking, including the now famous General Tso's chicken. And but again, the dish as Americans know it is nothing like Peng's original version. It's not really the same. It's not sweet. It's not deep fried. Sometimes has skin and bone in it, and was generally a lot less flavorful than the General Tso's chicken that we eat now.
Mm-hmm.
Just thought you might be interested in a little background on that.
It's kind of like sweet and sour. Pretty much anything is really common.
One of the things that Cryptic said was when he was talking about a lot of the recipes, the cooking style, and the Chinese culture came over very definitely during the building of the railroads, and they cooked traditional Chinese food, in the new places where they settled, places like San Francisco and Los Angeles, all up and down the West Coast. But they had to make food that sold, and they American Chinese cuisine. It's not really Chinese at all. It's all developed in American, like Cryptic was saying, and is very different from the rather mildly flavored predecessor dishes. By and large, as I'm looking through each one of these, it's kind of the same story over and over. At some point, sometime between 1800 and 1950, somebody brought a recipe over and made it different for Americans, and so that it would sell, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And interesting thing that I got to do one time was to eat dinner with the family of the owners of one of the toniest Chinese food restaurants in San Francisco. And we went over to their home, which was above the restaurant. I mean, these people literally live their work. They're rich as all get out, living in the heart of San Francisco, have this excellent, 5-star restaurant downstairs. And we came up and ate with them. And it was a different meal. It was different from all the Chinese food I had ever eaten up to that point. It was, first of all, there was a lot of variety. At one point, that was the first time I ever tried eels. They made us eels, and eels are good.
Yeah, eels delicious.
Eels is tasty as hell.
Yeah, I'd never had it before 1975. No, 1977. That was when I was. Yeah.
Oh shit.
The thing about like real Asian food, like real Chinese or Vietnamese food, right? The food is a bit more healthy, I guess. It's less fat, less all that. It's just that
depending on the region.
Yes,
because there are some exceptions.
There are.
I would say closer to urban areas, probably lesser.
Oh, wait, what are you saying is closer to urban areas? Is lesser what?
Healthier.
No. The less urban area is more healthier than you are, actually.
So the less urban, the healthier. The farther away from town you are, the healthier.
Yeah, like where I'm from, the food I eat still nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
We don't eat as much meat. We eat a lot of vegetables. We eat a lot of rice. Vegetable and rice is the main staple. Meat is considered luxury type of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different things. Like in China, if you're more northern, it will have more meat and more wheat. If you're more southern, it will have more.
And why is that?
Because northern climes, that's where a lot of their animal herds are, and that's where a lot of their wheat production is. Whereas southern climes, that's where rice production really gets going, because it's able to have the right level of moisture, the right level of warmth and sun and all that. So
it's the closest part to Vietnam, which is the perfect place for rice.
Yeah, they just get obscene amounts of rice from the south, whereas the north, it's pretty much all wheat and meat. And south, like I said, you get a lot more vegetable variety.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's kind of like Mongolian food. If you look at Mongolian food, like that is almost American level meat to veg, where it is a hell of a lot of meat in Mongolian food versus when you look at like Southern Chinese. And you can see that in a bunch of other areas and dishes as well. And one of the things that I was going to mention, everyone knows sweet and sour pork, for instance. American sweet and sour pork.
What? Why? I've never met him.
Chinese version of it looks nothing like the American version of it. So the Chinese version is guabao or guaunglao. It depends on which area you're talking about it coming from. And you know how sweet and sour pork in the US has almost that radioactive orange color? The Chinese, the more authentically Chinese version, is effectively yellow. Not orange, yellow. And it has this ridiculously crispy fried pork that gets tossed through this very acidic, kind of citrusy sauce. So you end up with a lot more citrusy, almost floral notes to the sauce on this insanely crisp pork versus American. You end up with that just really sweet, slight vinegar tang, orange, radioactive sauce over whatever meat is being put in.
I want some of that orange radium sauce. I want some.
See, I'm constantly craving.
I think I need that.
Guobao, because guobao is, oh my god. There's a place that sometimes has guobao on the menu near me. It's the most authentic Chinese food place that I've been to outside of China. And it has, most of the menu stays the same, but then they rotate some things seasonally. One of the times that I went, they had guobao, and having guobao and then a really nice spicy dish, that citrusy, sweet, sour sauce from the guobao blending in your mouth with the spice of like either dandan noodles or like Szechuan fish.
But dandan noodles have a lot of flavor, but I don't think of them as spicy by themselves.
It depends
There's
on
a lot of flavor, though.
It depends on how hot they make the chili crisp for the dandan, because different areas have different.
I thought you
levels
meant
of spice
just the
with dandan.
noodles. I thought you meant just the noodles.
Oh no, dandan noodles is the entire dish. So
that's what you meant. I meant the noodles, just the noodles.
Okay. Yeah, dandan noodles, the dish has that heaping spoon of chili crisp mixed in, and oh good god. Ooh, if it's a good chili crisp, like a pig in shit, man, like a pig in shit.
It's a happy visual. Pig and shit eating sweet and sour pork.
And check your logic. That is not correct. So Hitler absolutely killed people out of malice. To say that Mao just accidentally killed people is an absolutely absurd take, because no, this was knowingly putting forward the different programs and policies, seeing what happened. And you might be able to say, yeah, the first month of deaths could have been out of ignorance. What about the following decade?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it was planned, especially with like when you see the weirdo shit where he was like, what, kill these certain types of birds, and then all of a sudden fucking locusts came and
kill all the sparrows.
Yeah, like this was come on, you're fucking yourself.
No, that was a big deal. I mean, in the Great Leap Forward was a plan that was supposed to last for 5 years.
Yep.
And Mao Zedong and the Communist Party started at around 1960. And the goal was to essentially modernize their agriculture, as I remember.
Mm-hmm.
And what it ended up doing, for exactly what Adam was talking about, was it caused starvation. It caused real famine and mass starvation. People estimate that 45 million Chinese died due to famine, execution, and forced labor. Along with the just amazing environmental destruction that happened during that time. It is still the largest episode of non-wartime mass killing in human history. It absolutely is. And it's a clear example of the failures of socialism and economic central planning.
Yeah,
And,
the only ones that come close are the other communist
I was going to say
efforts.
Stalin at 20 million.
Stalin with his
very nice
killing
work in
the farmers or whatever. What was it?
He killed all the farmers in the Ukraine. He did some very nice work there, but it's still only 20 million. He's a piker compared to the Dom.
Though you do also have
Big
to
Dom got it done.
One of the problems with the Stalin numbers is they were more able to hide some of those numbers by doing some creative accounting, let's say, where
Sanguine, they didn't have enough people. That was the only reason that Stalin didn't kill more people.
Oh, yeah.
They don't have as many people as China does.
They didn't have as many people.
He had plenty of people to kill, and they were very dense. And this is another thing about the Big Dong. Big Dong thought that was a huge problem in China, was its population density, and his proletariat was too big. Even as a slave force, which is the way that he used them. And so, as a result, Stalin didn't kill as many people, but it wasn't for lack of trying.
Yep.
You had political officers who would walk out to the fields and count the number of potatoes people brought back and examine the potatoes to see if anyone had gnawed them.
Mm-hmm. And like
That's
I said,
things were.
When it came to Stalin, there's more upward wiggle room for some of the estimates than in later iterations of many of the same policies, just because the Soviets had a habit of trying to disguise that, and then when World War II happened, they went, oh yeah, all these people died during World War II. Yeah, all of them dead during don't pay attention to the fact that there's no record of them existing between this year and when we say they died in World War II. They all died during World War II.
Well, in 2011, after assessing 20 years of historical research in Eastern European archives, American historian Timothy D. Snyder stated that Stalin deliberately killed about 6 million people.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll be happy to know that a liberal historian has discovered that Stalin only killed 6 million people. That's the new truth.
Yeah, a lot fewer than...
Update the history books immediately.
Yep. And that's always what they keep on trying to do. And it's part of the... So I have this idea, and I'm not sure if I've mentioned it on stream yet. But I have an idea as to why the Democrats and a lot of the people, especially on the far left, hate Russia as much as they do. And my idea behind why that is that Russia is the apostate as a nation.
Apostate from what? Faith.
From the... we need to go to communism. We need to go to socialism idea. They went communist. And then they pulled back away from it. They stopped being communist. They turned their back on progress.
This is the Lenin-Trotsky argument. Yes. That they turned off the true path.
Well, I think that it's not just the Lenin-Trotsky argument. I think this is a large part of...
It's very similar to what happened between Lenin and Trotsky.
Oh yeah, I absolutely acknowledge and agree to that. But I'm saying I think that's a large part of why there's so much we need to deal with Russia.
I think
we
you
need
mean
to
heretic more than apostate. It's not that he left the faith entirely. He perverted a feature of the faith, which would make him more of a heretic than an apostate. Apostates leave. Heretics.
see. I'm saying that the nation as a whole is the apostate because
they left the
USSR fell, and it's not a communist nation anymore.
Oh, I see. So you're saying that has happened since 1989.
Yes, and that's the reason why there's so much hatred for Russia from the far left now.
You think they hate Russia because Russia is no longer communist and Russia embarrasses them every day when they suggest stupid.
I think that's a fair chunk of it.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair chunk of it because if it was just as they keep on trying to say, well, Russia's a big threat to America. Russia isn't really that big of a threat to America, and it sure as shit isn't a threat on the scale that China
Joe Biden is trying to change that.
Yep. They're trying to build up Russia to give them a reason to destroy Russia. And
well, listen, Sanguine, I'll just cut to the chase real quickly for you here. And Cryptic will probably back me up here. What they want, the arms manufacturers, Raytheon wants to sell missiles to somebody. You can't do that without a war. I think that's what's driving America's absolute fascination with the border integrity of Ukraine.
I think that's driving a certain component.
It is not a border fetish that we have where we're always concerned about our borders and everybody else's borders. No, this border is convenient to the people who would make a lot of money from a conflict. I really do think that's what's going on.
And I agree for a certain portion of the population, well, not really of the population at large, but of the movers and shakers, let's phrase it that way. But there is this massive hatred of Russia from the far left and from the communists and socialists of that side, which the main thing that I can think of that is prompting that hatred is the hatred of the apostate. The hatred of the person who they knew the true faith, they know the true faith, and they're turning their fucking back on it.
I would agree with you to an extent. I think that they are more irked by the fact that people who hate communism can hold the Soviet Union up as such an epic failure of socialism. I think that is in their hearts and minds.
I think that plays into what I'm saying because it would be much...
Yeah, you're probably right.
They would view it as much harder to say that it failed if it was still standing. Because they say that China, communist, hasn't failed. Meanwhile, the only reason why China is the economic power that it currently is because it effectively completely undid all of the communist economic policy for a decade and a half to 2 decades. And now they're bringing that shit back in. It's going to kill itself again if given enough time. It's just a matter of how much damage it's going to do before it dies itself. But it's kind of like someone who's actively ODing on PCP. They can do a fuck ton of damage before their body finally gives out.
Yeah, that's true. Do you ever want to walk up to these people and say, what is it about living in Vietnam, Cuba, Communist China, or North Korea that just or Venezuela that makes you love socialism so much?
Mm-hmm.
Inevitably, they go, well, Denmark fuck you.
Yeah.
If you look into what Denmark and Sweden and to an even more of an extent Norway are doing, they're not really very socialist at all. They're like capitalism with high tax rates and a very active government, a completely homogenous, or at least it was till recently, ask a Swede, uh, uh, group of people living there, culturally homogenous, with the same cultural norms and same predictability. I mean, all the things that a place like America does not have. So I think, anyway, I just the whole Scandinavian, utopia story just makes me tired. And in point of fact, they're facing some very real financial difficulties that are the result of their years and years and years of pouring money into social programs.
Mm-hmm. And there's a couple stats that every time I hear someone try to say that, well, America's effectively the worst nation on earth, which I've heard I don't know how many fucking times from people on the far left. Every time I hear someone say that, the numbers that pop into my mind are immigration and emigration numbers. Because if we were the worst nation on the face of the planet, our emigration number would far exceed our immigration number. Unless we were actively preventing people from moving out of the nation.
Yeah. You have an apples to oranges thing, but I agree with you. I agree with your principle. I think it's on point. We're so different culturally from almost any other country.
Mm-hmm.
We really do have people from all over come to this country and make a life for themselves. I tend to think what we're going through right now is a growing pain. I hope we survive it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very concerned that we may not.
What I'm hoping for is, it seems like there's this pendulum swing that keeps on happening where we'll have shit go rather well for a period of time, and sometimes it's a long period of time, sometimes it's a short period of time, and people just get used to things going well. So they think that they can change everything and things will continue to go well. They can change all of the factors that set up that scenario, but it won't change the outcome. And then they'll change the outcome. Everything goes to shit. And then people go, oh my God, what the fuck did we do? And they swing back. And they start instituting things that make sense again. And we saw this with, for instance, Carter. Carter was effectively one of the heights of the, oh my God, what the fuck did we do moments.
That's a good point. Why do you think Carter did that? What led him to realize he had fucked up?
Well,
what was the one thing? There's one thing that caused him to realize that he'd fucked up. What was it?
I'm not sure. What was it?
The feedback he got.
Okay.
The feedback he got from the things he tried was terrible. But back then, it took a little bit longer than it takes now to get the same level of executive feedback. Now, today's executive feedback is nigh unto instantaneous. I think that's changing the dynamic. I think the nature of the change of the one-to-many communication that broadcasting used to be to the many-to-many communication that it is now. I mean, old Skep has a YouTube channel. He doesn't do much with it, but I can be on TV anytime I want. That ability to ship amazing amounts of information to anybody from anybody and to any number of people from any number of people is absolutely revolutionary in providing the feedback that people like Jimmy Carter or Joe Biden would would encounter. In other words, it's changed the way that they get information and changed their ability to react, and that's where you really feel the physical and mental disability of Joe Biden, because he's not that hands-on president looking at everything coming in, getting ready to react, has a grand strategy, all that kind of stuff. And
He's
Trump
too busy
wasn't either.
napping and shitting himself.
Trump wasn't either, to be fair. Trump was a completely reactive president. So was Joe Biden. The only thing about Trump was he was more alert, and he would react quicker and more decisively. We have a ditherer in chief right now, and it's not going well for us. That's why I feel bad, calling Canada to account for their shitty PM when our president is no prize.
But yeah, I think that it's this swing that we keep on having happen, and we see this in a bunch of different things. We see this when it comes to there's these peaks of crime on the rise, and then things get brought back down. So over time, we've been able to decrease crime in general, but we had massive peaks. The 70s and 80s, for instance. And we're going into one of those massive peaks. In fact, we're riding one of those peaks right now, where if you look at murders and assaults within cities, they're going up massively. If you look in the rest of the country, everything else, it's still trending down. But in cities, it's going up. What is the main difference between the cities and everywhere else? And there's a
population density.
Not just population density, because there's an entire state where effectively the crime rate's going up, except for in very small pockets where it's still going down. And that's California. And one of the major factors is California especially has gone extremely soft on crime.
I'd heard that.
And when you go extremely soft on crime, as is the case now, as has been the case every other time that we've tried to go soft on crime rates spike up massively. New York City was one of the most dangerous places on earth to live in the 70s and 80s. Then shit got turned around, and Central Park, a place where you used to not go for fear of being raped, mugged, or murdered, became, what was it, the safest city park, at least on the continent?
Nobody's going to. No, it's not. It's not the safest city park on the continent, but it did get a lot safer. I was there in Manhattan, living in Manhattan in 1980, and I've been back many times since. In 1980, Times Square was a scary place.
Yeah,
you not only get mugged, you get killed there. And if you got on the wrong subway line after dark, you could be toast. You might just be dead meat. The gang problems, the drug problems, everything was wrong with New York. And then the great Giuliani came in, as Assassin is saying, and I agree with you. It didn't get well by itself. It got well because a mayor cared enough to put tough people in big positions there, and put Bernard Carrick and some of those folks into harness and really turned it around.
I remember there was
I was also going to, let me just react to Kiever Dam saying that Biden is a senile mannequin. That's absolutely right. Sorry, go ahead. I just want to get that out there.
I'm almost positive. I need to look up what time it was. I want to say it was towards the end of Giuliani, so after he had enough time to institute all the policies that turned shit around, or right at the beginning of, it was Bloomberg next, right? It was Giuliani, then Bloomberg.
Yeah, there might have been somebody in between, but I've long forgotten. I think it was Bloomberg was next.
But yeah, it was either right at the end of Giuliani or right at the beginning of Bloomberg. There was a year that Central Park was called the safest park, at the very least in the U.S. The safest city park. And it was due to going hard on crime. And when you go hard on crime, the amount of crimes starts dipping down drastically. And we keep seeing this where we'll go hard on crime for a while. Crimes will start diving. And then we'll reach a point where they kind of stall out and we just kind of have this base level of crime. And people will start going, well, we're being too hard on criminals. They've had a hard life. We need to be more understanding. We need to work on fixing up their lives more. And we need to do more preventative measures rather than punitive measures. So we need to take money away from all these different things that are going into fighting crime, and we need to put them into other measures that will also fight crime, but they'll fight crime before it happens rather than waiting until after it happens. So we need to start up a bunch of these different after-school programs. We need to do this, that, and the other. And they'll completely pull funding from the shit that turned around the crime rate and put it into other things, and the crime rate starts to spike. And it'll keep on climbing and keep on climbing and keep on climbing until it hits a certain point, and then people go, fuck this, fuck the criminals, we need to go hard on crime, and then we'll go hard on crime again, and everything will start to quiet back down. And I'm hoping that we're hitting that point now. We hit that point a little bit during the Obama administration of, this shit's insane, we need someone different. And then the media really doubled down on gaslighting everyone. And unfortunately, it seems like it worked for a while. But now we're dealing with Biden shit. And even though they're still trying to gaslight us, even though they're still trying to say, no, the ridiculous cost of living increase, the ridiculous inflation rate, that's actually a good thing. It isn't a bad thing. It's a good thing. Trust us. And you're saying that gas prices have damn near doubled. That's a good thing. It means that the economy is getting back on its feet. It's not a bad thing. It's not something that is here to stay. It's just a transient increase. Oh, it's been 2 years and the increase is still going up and it isn't even slowing down. Don't worry. It's actually a good thing in the long run, because this means that people will be paid more to do the work. And we all wanted higher minimum wages, right? We all wanted everyone to be paid more. Oh, they're getting paid less in real terms. Let's see. Can we say anything else? And they're just spinning and panicking, trying to come up with something to explain away what's happening. But I think it's reaching a point where people are being forced to turn on and off, because it was one thing when the prices were going down gradually, which was happening pretty much all throughout the Trump administration. Prices were going down. The price of gas went down gradually until it was much lower at the end of Trump's time than it was at the beginning of Trump's time. But it was a gradual thing. This is not gradual. And it is a hell of a lot easier for someone to realize, okay, why the hell is the pack of bacon that I used to buy that was like $5 now 12? That's harder to hide from the average person than a gradual change. So I'm hoping
the other thing is,
the
inflation rate when Donald Trump left office was 1.7%.
Yep.
The inflation rate today is 7.6%.
Yep.
That's fast.
Yeah.
And that's a really troubling trend.
Well, he was warned when he took office not to do the second stimulus check payout, right?
In point of fact, we were actually already in trouble. And it's Republicans, Democrats, both who've gotten us there. And the original sinner in this is George W. Bush.
Yes.
And that's not a matter of opinion. Look at the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You can show that with numbers very, very easily. And the other thing, I'm surprised that Trump wasn't reelected because he's the son of Christ. Does everybody know that he's the son of Christ? Did you guys know that? Did you? Yes or no?
Did not.
Did you know that, Sanguine?
Nope.
Okay.
Holy shit, Sora's still here?
His father was Fred Christ Trump.
Ah,
his middle name was Christ. Yeah, it was Fred. His middle name was Christ. I've always found that interesting. Just a little bonbon for the end of the show.
Mm-hmm. But it's like I said, I hope that we're reaching that point where everyone has just been pushed a bit too far, and the people that were trying to not pay attention to what other people were warning them about, people that were trying to just get on with their life, let politics is politics, this shit that they're saying, it won't really affect me because it'll just be someone else in power, and this one won't be saying nasty things about people on Twitter. And now I'm desperately hoping that they're going, I fucked up. Because I want them to realize that what someone says on Twitter doesn't matter a goddamn bit versus what they were doing. And especially the people that I can't fathom how the hell they're able to say this are the ones that are looking at everything that's happened and saying, how was I supposed to know that this was going to happen? When pretty much everything that is happening is exactly what Biden said he would do. Biden said.
Mostly what they do, Sanguine, is they deny that they're responsible. It's somebody else did the bad thing. They're going to try and fix it and save the world. And any progress they can make in that regard is clear evidence of their world saving. Just ask a Democrat.
There's going to be some that are completely bought in. And yeah, when someone reaches that point,
that's becoming a very high percentage. That's the thing that concerns me, is that I think this is a higher percentage of what you call completely bought in, and I think that's a good characterization. I think it's a higher percent. I don't have any numbers to back that up, but I think they're more polarized now than we've ever been before. I think we're farther away from solutions.
You can even look at the Democrats that aren't running for re-election. I think it's up to 30 now.
Yeah, it's 30 people are
so
retiring.
I mean, this is something that's a little bit bigger than.
You don't see so many Republicans retiring, do you?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sure there should be more.
Wonder if there's an ass whooping coming up.
Yeah, let them go. Let them all go. Look, I'm with Teddy. He gets a shot in the fucking chest and says, "You know what? I still got a speech to make."
Exactly.
What was the line? It'll take more than a bullet to put down a bull moose.
Damn straight.
But yeah, there are definitely
actually
more
that
people.
Is the way you kill bull mooses. I'm just saying.
True, but
using bullets. I think he wasn't being literal. He wasn't being. I'll look that up for you while you're talking.
Yeah, but the thing is that when it comes down, yes, there are probably more people that are bought in, but there are also a large number, it seems, that their confidence has been broken by this. And you can see it in polls. When Biden doesn't even have a healthy majority of his own party saying that they approve of what he's done, that's damning.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think
By the
it's
way,
currently 48%.
The exact quote is he started his speech with this. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know whether you fully understand that I have just been shot, but it takes more than that to kill a bull moose.
Okay.
And then he just launched into his speech.
Yep.
He carried that bullet for the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm.
It was in the chest muscle, but it never made it to the pleura. And the doctors concluded that, we can't take that thing out. He's going to bleed to death. And it's kind of an interesting thing. William Howard Taft and Woodrow Wilson, who were running against him, suspended their own campaigning until Roosevelt recovered and resumed his, so it would be fair. That's how far we've fallen.
Wow.
Yep.
Think about that, people. Think about that. You fucking people. Look at all the shit that's coming out right now. Like, it's baffling. It's baffling.
And that was a surprisingly class act from Wilson, who is one of the most reprehensible men to have ever run for office, let alone get it.
Getting plugged in the asshole by fucking demons and shit in hell. Fuck that guy. And you know what, Taft? You know what? You were heavy enough in this life, so you suffered enough.
I was curious if you were going to say, I hope he gets stuck in another tub or something like that.
Yeah. He was big enough to have his own area code, though. He was a big man. 300-pound boy.
And then he was much happier when he was on the Supreme Court than he was when he was president.
Oh, let me tell you, being a Supreme Court judge is much happier job than being president, in my opinion.
Yep, and it's also, it just fit his temperament more and fit what he enjoyed doing. He was much more thoughtful than he was someone that was really good under stress.
No. Yeah,
I'm going to share this.
I just want to say I don't wish anybody ill will, even those that are already passed.
This is the actual speech with the bullet hole in it and the eyeglass case that slowed the bullet down enough to keep it in the chest muscle.
Yeah, because it was both of them, right? It was both.
Yeah, it went through the speech and into the eyeglass case and then into his chest.
We need more people like Teddy Roosevelt again.
A bullet can't stop the bull moose. God fucking yeah.
So anyway, and that's his actual speech. That's
yeah.
Man.
And also, the man had just amazing facility with words.
Well, but it's also that it's the drive to be able to want to lead the people in a more prosperous way. He had to go into a whole third party.
The motherfucker exercised himself out of asthma.
Yeah. It's one of those
How
things
goddamn ridiculous is that? That is him exercising himself out of asthma is right up there with the one dude who reasoned himself out of schizophrenia.
They literally pulled themselves up by the bootstraps, huh?
I got thrown out of a bar once.
Oh shit!
Not quite on the same degree, Skep.
But anyway.
It is about that time, though. Right before I go around for parting words, I just want to say, I think that it is still to damn near the eternal shame of America that somehow Teddy Roosevelt didn't win the argument when it came to hyphenated Americans. For those who don't know, Teddy Roosevelt absolutely fucking hated the idea of someone being Black, African American, being Italian American, being Asian American. He had a speech that was entirely about fuck that, you're American. We need to get rid of the hyphenated American, and you're just American. You can be an American of this heritage or that heritage, but you are an American.
Well said.
And you know, that's the thing that I like about that, because it adds to the statehood and also the kind of the localized area. Because, you know, for preference or reference, myself living around Chicago area, I'm sorely different from somebody living in Springfield, Illinois. You know, so it's one of those things where it's like, you know, but the thing we can both say that we are tethered together is that we're American, and that's what we should be focusing on. You know,
And Springfield's a hellhole.
Well, hold on.
But anyway,
hold on. I
just saying, compared to Chicago.
Well, wait. Hold on.
Wait, are you more likely to be shot in Springfield?
Oh my God.
It's so fun to launch Adam into outer space. It's one of the joys of my late years.
No,
where's the lesser jet? We need to find out. Is Springfield part of America?
No, I catch what Skep's trying to do.
Comes around.
It's I like Springfield. Springfield is a nice little town.
Well, if you're thinking about Springfield and you want to get out of the Springfield mood, I have a quote, and this can serve as my last words for the evening.
Wait, hold on.
Listen very carefully and don't interrupt, because this is more than one sentence, so just relax. Just relax and listen. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat.
The Man in the Arena by Teddy Roosevelt.
Correct?
One of my favorites. So, shall we go to Adam next? For your parting words, Adam?
Shit. See, that's why it's like, damn it.
You were hoping to sneak by first so that you wouldn't have to.
Well, no, I was hoping we could fit that into a bit of, let's end with, since we were talking with Teddy Roosevelt, there you go, and then Skep Tock could also do his ending quote, you know, and then we can go from there. But I guess I'm following Teddy Roosevelt. Shit.
You were going to say, we must dare to be great, and we must realize that greatness is the fruit of toil and sacrifice and high courage. That's what you were going to say.
No, I was going to say that at all. Don't steal my spotlight.
You sounded like you were going to say.
No, I was going to say shit. Son of a bitch. I have my own outro, sir. I don't know if you've been on the Friday show before.
Hum a few bars and I'll fake it.
Does anybody have a pitch pipe? Wait, no. Wait, I don't even. Damn it, Skep. Okay, See, you're throwing me off, sir. Don't do that. That's not nice.
Speak softly and carry a big dick.
Well, from the earlier conversation, we already
God.
know.
Son of a bitch. I was hoping we forget that. And
You should know by now, I don't forget.
Damn it. Ah, damn it. See,
I will carry all the threads of the conversation at the same time and be able to swap between them as needed.
this is a horrific, catastrophic ending, I would say. Considering usually my ending piece is just, oh, hey, thanks, Sanguine, for inviting me on. It's always
good to have you.
Yeah, well, I don't know about tonight, but it's been fun chatting with all you guys, or gals there, Sora, and don't break it.
Sora, you're still a girl, ain't you?
She's still there, right?
Last time I checked. Things could have changed, though. We're living in a new world.
So that doesn't work as a title. Is that just one of the plot summaries of one of your films, or?
It's a crossover with our Japanese production company.
Okay, I thought it was going to be the Thai production house.
No. It's we're doing live action anime.
Okay,
Mhm.
fair enough. Go ahead, Adam.
So where were we again?
Your parting words.
You're about to say that
Parting
patriotism means
words.
to stand by the country. It does not mean to stand by the president, which was another Teddy Roosevelt quote.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's a very nice quote, Adam. Very nice.
Very nice, Adam.
Oh, this is heavy, Doc.
I don't know. You started like tuning
No,
or to sing a song.
it wasn't. Wait, we're all the way back there. How did we get there?
Well, you just said that it was good to be on the show, as always. You had a good time. I gave my standard, always good to have you, man. And then you were continuing on from that. Then you got interrupted as you were saying that it's good to be on with you fine gents and ladies. If Sora's still around, you're still there, right, Sora? And then
I am.
she unmuted, responded back, and this has been me reading back the minutes from the past little bit.
Dude, you have
I
one
would
of
like
those
to second
ladies
these
that
minutes.
that stuff. Yeah,
Move forward.
that's cool.
I do not
yeah.
currently have a
Agenda.
stenographer to hand, but
Oh, well, eventually we'll get popular enough, and you can afford one.
this is just all off the top of my head.
But in continuance, yes, thank you for letting me be on the show, and you know what, everybody on the panel, especially you, Skep, this is great that you joined us for this evening. It was a nice surprise.
It's been a pleasure, and thank
Yeah,
you, Sanguine, for
because
having me.
especially
Always
because
been
I haven't talked to you in a while, so it was a nice conversation.
He was going through Skep withdrawals.
Yeah, no, yeah, I was going jittery and shit, but
He had skepticism. I'm sorry.
He was about to start fiending.
Skepticism redefined.
But oh shit, dude, I'm trying. This is longer than the fucking Lord of the Rings ending. But as always, both the panel and audience, you know what? I love you all, and God bless.
Well, I'm back.
Let's go for Cryptic next.
It's been a fun stream. I just haven't had talk to this many people in a while. So have a good night. Thank you for coming, and see you next time.
Copy that. Sora?
Hope everyone has a lovely night. As you can hear, we're all 13-year-olds with their first crushes. You hang up first. No, you hang up first. No, you hang up first. Go to bed.
And I won't leave off with my standard tonight because Skep already read The Man in the Arena. But there's the other Teddy Roosevelt thing that I mentioned. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but just the first paragraph or so will get the point across. I stand for straight Americanism, unconditioned and unqualified, and I stand against every form of hyphenated Americanism. I do not speak of the hyphen when it is employed as a mere convenience, although personally I like to avoid its use even in such manner. I speak and condemn its use whenever it represents an effort to form political parties along racial lines or to bring pressure to bear on parties and politicians, not for American purposes, but in the interest of some group of voters of a certain national origin or of the country from which they or their fathers came. Americanism is not a matter of creed, birthplace, or national descent, but of the soul and the spirit. If the American has the right stuff in him, I care not a snap of my fingers whether he's a Jew or Gentile, a Catholic or Protestant. I care not a snap of my fingers whether his ancestors came over in the Mayflower or whether he was born or his parents were born in Germany, Ireland, France, England, Scandinavia, Russia, or Italy, or any other country. All I ask of the immigrant is that he shall be physically and intellectually fit, of sound character, and eager in good faith to become an American citizen. If the immigrant is of the right kind, I am for him. And if the Native American is of the wrong kind, I am against him. That's a excerpt from his speech about the hyphenated American.
I'm just glad you didn't read the rest of the book.
And it is one of the speeches that, like I said, everyone should read because it is as true now as it has ever been.
Oh, if you have not read The Man in the Arena, I'm talking about the book, not the speech.
Yep.
The man in the arena.
That really is. I agree with Sanguine completely. Theodore Roosevelt was that rare kind of wordsmith that came bombing out of the late 19th century. Americans really knew how to write. They concentrated a lot on it in their early schooling. And the letters from Civil War soldiers back home are beautiful things to read. And when you look at the actual letters themselves, the script and penmanship are perfect. They're astonishing. And just regular common farm boys, but that's what they had learned. And Teddy Roosevelt, in a lot of ways, was the crown of that. Anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to start up the stream again, and we need to get going. So good night, everybody.
Before I head off, I'll just say one of the things that I love about how he wrote and how he spoke is he was effectively the verbal military march, the bombastic sound to it. And you get that just by reading what he wrote. You always have that kind of feel, that kind of drive forward that is peculiar to him and fantastic.
Hey, and you know what? And I know this probably is going to be a bad take, I guess, but I did like Robin Williams' portrayal of him, because it did have, even though it wasn't like 100% him, but it still had that like drive with Robin Williams' flair. And it was, I don't know, he did that character. He did Teddy fairly well, I would say.
Mm-hmm. And with that, have a good night, all. The zoo is
Good
closed.
night.
Good night, everybody.
Cryptic, this is when you say goodbye.
It wasn't me this time.
Adios.
Yeah, it wasn't Adam this time. It was Cryptic. Good night, all.